Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus, where today we are talking about Warner Brothers. Because Warner Brothers has entered 2026 in one of the most important periods in its modern history. After years of franchise restructuring, leadership changes, and then obviously streaming shifts and major risk in the studio, is now trying to redefine what its future looks like. So from the DC studios and blockbuster franchises to horror, animation, and major sequels, 2026 could be one of Warner Bros. Most important years in a long time. So today we are answering the question, what can we expect from Warner Bros. In 2026? And I don't want to ramble on, so let's just get right into it. So this year, there's a bigger focus on DC studios, and that's where their biggest priorities lie. Because in 2026, they are continuing the development of the new DC universe under James Gunn and Peter Safran. After the release of Superman, Warner Bros. Is now focused on proving that the new DCU can maintain momentum rather than rushing toward events. The studio appears focused on gradually building this connected universe with very distinct projects and characters, which I'm about to talk about, so buckle in. So the first character that they are introducing through their own project is Supergirl. Supergirl is a film that releases in just a couple of days. This is one of the most anticipated Warner Brothers releases of 2026, and the film introduces a very different version of Kara Zor-El than we've ever seen before compared to the previous adaptations, because she is presenting a more flawed and emotionally complex character that you wouldn't really typically see with the likes of Supergirl, but I think they've chosen the greatest avenue to go down for the likes of that. But the success of the film will likely determine how audiences respond to the lesser known DC heroes beyond like the typical Superman and Batman. So I think this is a good turning point to see what's working and what's not, because they've really taken a big risk with this one, and I'm all for it. Honestly, I have already booked my ticket. I'm definitely going to see it. I do think I'm actually going to see it tomorrow, but I'm very excited for it. I have heard some early reviews that the villain is not the biggest, is wrong. They shouldn't have used this certain villain for the type of character, which actually gives me more hope for this film than you would probably think, because the major villain for this film is apparently very lesser known, and everyone thought Lobo was supposed to be the villain, but obviously it's a team up in this film. So everyone's under the impression that the hero is too good for the villain that they've chosen, which actually holds a lot of hope for this character's future. But turning the tables, a darker direction that the Warner Brothers are taking, more specifically DC are taking, is through the Clayface film. Now, Warner Bros. Is also experimenting in this genre through a character like Clayface, because rather than presenting the traditional superhero / supervillain film, the project leans heavily into like body horror and psychological horror. Now, if you've watched the Clayface teaser trailer reaction that I did with Marcus, you will know I am very much on the edge of watching this film, because I am a massive pussy when it comes to body horror. I watched Spider Noir. There was one episode, maybe 5 minutes of a sequence to do with body horror, and I was already I was doing that the whole time. I hate body horror, so I don't know if I'm going to be going to a cinema to watch this, because I don't think I have enough pair of underwear for that. But I also think this film does suggest that the studio may be willing to take a larger creative risks with the DC characters rather than forcing every project into the same formula. So they are really testing the waters with literally everything possible just to see how it works. Now, that is a great business move to play with with a movie type franchise such as this. So I'm all for it. Will I probably watch it at home? Yes, I will definitely watch Clayface. Will I watch it in theaters? Absolutely not. Right, if I get enough likes on this video, I'll determine if it's enough likes, and I get enough comments saying go and watch Clayface when it comes out, I'll go and watch it with trepidation. Warner Bros. Is not only focusing on movies, but they're also focusing on shows as well. They are a bit more expansive beyond movies, which is good because it's not exclusively focusing on relying on theatrical releases. Television and streaming projects continue to play a major role in the expanding major franchises, with projects like Lanterns and then other DC shows that are indicated to come out this year. Also shows that this story is to exist across multiple formats rather than just relying solely on films. However, this is a good year for competing with Marvel, as we've got Avengers Doomsday and then Dune on the same day. So that'll determine who probably does the best this year. Let me know who you're voting for in Doomsday. Now, I think the biggest thing with Warner Bros. Is, now we've already had some of their projects released already, such as Mortal Kombat, but you can tell that they are making a major return to like the major franchises, because beyond the DC, Warner Bros. It does continuously rely on the stronger franchises, and I know that sounds bad, but it is working in the end. Dune, Mortal Kombat, DC, and other established brands remain central to the studio's strategy and success. The company appears focused on balancing new ideas and recognizable intellectual properties that are already dedicated to the audiences. As I said, they are bringing back like the major stuff, but they're also experimenting, so they're not just keeping it like the same thing over and over again. So you got to give them credit for that. There's a stronger, as I said earlier, they've got a stronger horror presence now this time around, and it does continue to be one of the more reliable genres. I think Insidious is Warner Brothers, I do believe, and they've got another sequel for that coming out this summer, and the studio has increasingly invested in other horror projects because of their relatively low budget and strong audience engagement, but obviously, as I said, films like Clayface and other horror-focused releases suggest that Warner Bros. Will continue expanding this area throughout 2026 and throughout other years. So I would expect more horror, but I would also expect more familiarity, I'd say, in the next 2 years, which is what everyone wants in the end. Maybe not everyone, me not included, but it will probably seek to a far larger audience. They had a couple rough years, but I will say the challenge is rebuilding audience trust. One of Warner Bros.' biggest obstacles is consistency, because in recent years audiences have cancelled projects, delayed films, changing plans, and just franchise reboots can seem a bit overwhelming. 2026 does represent an opportunity for the studio to rebuild its confidence by demonstrating a very clear long-term vision and delivering projects that feel connected to the larger strategy. Now, the biggest risk I think that Warner Brothers is taking is Coyote and Acme. I think that's a very big risk to take. Oh, as well as Cat in the Hat. Cat in the Hat I do think will probably do well. It's the Coyote and Acme. I don't think that will reach as many audiences than you think, but we'll wait and see for that. I think the importance of franchise stability is their biggest obstacle, because Warner Brothers owns some of the most valuable entertainment properties in the world. However, owning major brands is only part of the challenge, because the studio must prove it can maintain stable long-term planning across multiple years, whether that's 5 or 7 or maybe 10 years. Successful franchises require audience confidence that stories will continue off and pay over time, so they can continue to take more risks and gain more success. It fluctuates, and that is a scary part when you're in the entertainment businesses, because audiences, obviously attention span and obviously audience interest does fluctuate and change all the damn time. So what can we expect from Warner Brothers in 2026? I would expect a year focused on rebuilding momentum, expanding franchises, and testing the future of new DC Universe characters. Warner Bros. Does appear to determine its strength position through a combination of blockbuster filmmaking, streaming expansion, and horror expansion. And the long-term franchise planning, I think, is what is a big thing this year. 2026 is not just another year for them, it's a year of proof and rebuilding. The studio has ambitious projects, franchises, and enormous expectations resting on its shoulders, and I think they can pull it off. Whether it's through Supergirl, Clayface, Dune, or future DC announcements, 2026 could redefine what Warner Bros. Looks like for years to come. But the question isn't whether Warner Bros. Has opportunities, but the question is whether it can finally turn those opportunities into long-term success. But that's the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment what else you would like to see on this very channel. But I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.